The night that changed everything. You gave my son food for free. Samantha Dawson blinked up at the towering figure standing at her doorstep. The stranger's piercing blue eyes locked onto hers, his wet overcoat dripping onto her worn-out doormat. The way he said it, calm yet deliberate, sent a shiver down her spine. I'm sorry, what? She stammered, gripping the doorframe. The man studied her in silence before reaching into his coat and sliding an envelope onto her small wooden table. I don't believe in handouts, he said in a steady, controlled voice. But I do believe in repaying debts. And whether you know it or not, I owe you. Samantha's gaze flickered between the envelope and the stranger. Who was this man? And why did she feel like her life was about to change forever? The neon sign of Maple Street Cafe flickered against the rain-drenched streets of New York City. Sandwiched between an old bookstore and a thrift shop, the tiny cafe smelled of brewed coffee and warm pastries. Inside, Samantha tied her apron, exhaustion tugging at her limbs. At 29, she was no stranger to long hours. Working as a waitress barely covered the rent for her cramped apartment 3 blocks away, but she never let it dull the kindness in her heart. Samantha had grown up with nothing, raised by a grandmother who taught her that generosity was the only wealth worth having. She lived by that belief, even when it meant skipping her own meals to help someone else. Tonight, the cafe was quiet. A truck driver sipped his coffee, and a college student typed furiously on his laptop. Then she saw him. Through the rain-speckled window, a small figure sat hunched near the entrance. A boy, no older than 8, curled up in a wheelchair, his thin frame wrapped in a tattered coat. His dark hair clung to his forehead, and his hands fidgeted with a frayed blanket. Samantha's heart clenched. Without a second thought, she grabbed a clean towel and hurried outside, the rain cold against her skin. Hey there, sweetheart, she said softly, crouching beside him. What are you doing out here all alone? The boy looked up, his wide green eyes filled with uncertainty. I'm waiting for someone, he whispered. Samantha glanced around. The street was empty. Well, you can't stay out here in this weather. Come inside, okay? It's warm and I've got something special just for you. The boy hesitated but eventually nodded. Inside, she wheeled him to a booth near the heater. I'm Samantha, she said with a warm smile, draping the towel over his shoulders. What's your name? Leo, he murmured, his lips forming a small smile. Leo, huh? That's a strong name. She ruffled his damp hair. How about some food? Do you like grilled cheese? She didn't wait for an answer. Minutes later, she returned with a steaming plate, a golden grilled cheese sandwich, and a cup of warm tomato soup. This one's on me, she said, tucking a napkin in his lap. Eat up, kiddo. Leo took a bite, his eyes lighting up. This is the best thing I've ever had, he said through a mouthful of melted cheese. Samantha laughed, sitting across from him, talking about superheroes and cartoons, just to keep that smile on his face. What she didn't know was that someone was watching. Across the street, a sleek black SUV idled in the shadows. Its tinted windows reflected the cafe's neon glow. Inside, Damian Calloway sat in silence. At 42, he was one of the most powerful men in the country, the CEO of Calloway Industries, a tech empire built on ruthless ambition. His tailored suit and polished shoes belonged in a boardroom, not on a rain-slicked street. But tonight, he wasn't here for business. He was here for Leo. He had parked just a block away, planning to pick up his son after a last-minute investor call. But when he arrived, he saw Samantha, the way she knelt beside Leo, the warmth in her smile as she fed him. Something tightened in Damian's chest. Pulling out his phone, he dialed. Clara, get down to Maple Street Cafe now. No business suits, just jeans and a hoodie. Be here in 20 minutes. His assistant didn't hesitate. On my way, sir. Damian leaned back, watching through the window. He had spent years building walls around his company and his heart. He had spared no expense on doctors and caregivers for Leo, but no amount of money could buy what Samantha had just given his son. Who was she? And why did she care? 20 minutes later, Clara entered the cafe. She spotted Leo immediately, still chatting with Samantha as she poured him a glass of milk. Forcing a casual smile, Clara approached. Hey, buddy, time to go, she said, touching his shoulder. Your ride's waiting. Leo pouted. Can I finish first? Samantha glanced at Clara, her protective instincts kicking in. You know him. she asked, voice gentle but firm. Clara nodded. Yeah, I'm his aunt, just picking him up for his dad. Samantha studied her for a moment, then smiled. All right, sweetheart. You take care, okay? Come back anytime. She tucked a warm cookie into Leo's hands. Thanks, Samantha. You're the best. As Clara wheeled him out, her heart pounded. Across the street, Damien stepped out of the SUV, his imposing presence momentarily softening as he knelt beside his son. Did you have fun in there, champ? Leo beamed. Samantha's so nice, Dad. She gave me food for free. She said kindness doesn't cost anything. Damien's throat tightened. Free. In a world where everything had a price, this woman had given his son something priceless. As Clara helped Leo into the car, Damien's gaze returned to the cafe. Samantha was wiping down the counter as if nothing had happened. He turned to Clara. Find out everything about her. Name, address, background. I want it on my desk tomorrow. The next evening, Samantha's world changed forever. Her shift had been brutal. Rude customers, spilled drinks, and barely $15 in tips. She had just arrived home when a knock at the door startled her. Peering through the peephole, she saw a tall man in a dark coat. His face was shadowed but undeniably striking. Her stomach flipped. Cautiously, she opened the door. Can I help you? Are you Samantha Dawson? His voice was deep, authoritative. Yeah. Who's asking? Damien Calloway. The name meant nothing to her. I need to talk to you. She hesitated but stepped aside, curiosity outweighing her exhaustion. Damien's presence seemed to fill the tiny living room. His sharp eyes swept over her humble apartment. No TV, a single chair, a few secondhand books. You live simply, he murmured. Yeah, well, I get by. She crossed her arms. What's this about? Damien turned to her, his voice unwavering. Yesterday, you helped a boy in a wheelchair. That boy was my son. Samantha's eyes widened. Leo is your kid. Yes, and I want to offer you a job. She blinked. A what? A real job, a 6-figure salary, benefits, everything. Samantha stared at him. You're joking, right? I don't joke, Damien said firmly. And just like that, her life was never the same again. A month into her job at Calloway Industries, Samantha faced her biggest challenge. Someone was leaking company secrets, and the whispers pointed to her. When Damien called her into his office, his expression was unreadable. Samantha, I took a chance on you, he said. Tell me I wasn't wrong. Her heart pounded. I swear, Damien, I'd never betray you or Leo. His piercing blue eyes studied her for a long moment. I believe you. Together, they uncovered the real culprit, a jealous executive trying to frame her. The betrayal only strengthened Damien's trust in her. Years later, Samantha stood beside him at Leo's high school graduation, not just an employee, but family. And with the foundation she created in Leo's name, she proved one thing. Kindness could build an empire,